Today I have an Ecoflow Delta 1300. This is the cheapest model of the Delta series. This is not a Pro, this is not a Max model. The Delta 1300 is the most basic model. I just bought it on eBay from Ecoflow. They have a store from eBay and they sell a lot of refurbished unit, and this unit is a refurbished unit. And it only cost me a little bit over $400, and after tax it cost me exactly $466, and that is only about 1/3 the price of a new one. So how good is a refurbished unit like this one, and is it really worth the money? So in this video I'm gonna do a short review to show you what it has. It's not a complete review because there are many reviews on YouTube for this unit already. The main purpose of this video is to test this unit to see if it's worth the money. And finally, make sure you stay all the way into the end, because there's something I want to show you that you may want to know if you already own this unit or thinking about purchasing this unit. First of all, let me show you around. Got an LCD on the front. We got 6 USB ports on the front. On the back of the unit we also have a 12-volt DC output, and with this you have to use a cigarette lighter device, and this 12-volt output is always on, and this 12-volt DC output is always on. You don't have to turn on the switch on the front, and the DC output on the front is off. But on the back here, the 12-volt cigarette lighter socket is always on. So over here I'm using this 12-volt socket to power my energy charger to charge my 12-volt lithium-ion battery, and it's charging at 12.5 volts at 2 amps. So if you do your math, that's about 26 watts, right? 12.48 times 2.1. And here is the front panel that shows exactly 27 watts. So that is pretty accurate. My next test is the capacity test, which is the most important test for this unit because it's a refurbished unit. It has 1.26 kilowatt hour capacity, and I want to make sure that it still has at least somewhere close to that capacity. I have my electric heater here, and it's already plugged in the back of the unit, and I'm going to run it and see how much capacity we can get out of this refurbished unit. Now let's turn on the heater. Okay, we're running at 620 watts right now, and let's put on the timer. Alright, it has been about 1.5 hours and the heater has just shut down. We have 5% left. Now let's do some calculation here to see if we get what we paid for. The total capacity of this unit is 1260 watt hour. The heater runs at 620 watts for 1.5 hours. So the total amount of power we use is 930 watt hour. Now for 100% efficiency, we would have gotten 1260 watt hour, right? That's the battery capacity. But in real life, you never ever get 100% efficiency. The most you get is about between 80 to 90% efficiency. So if you have 80% efficiency in the worst case scenario, the total capacity of the battery is only 1008 watt hour. We know that we use 930 watt hour. We have 5% battery capacity left, and 5% is 63 watt hour. So if you add that to this, we had almost 1000 watt hour, which is right on with 80% efficiency. And that means for this unit we almost get 100% of the capacity out of this battery with almost zero degradation, and that is pretty good for a refurbished unit. So next I want to see how long it takes to charge up this battery using AC outlet from a completely empty battery pack. So let's plug this in. Alright, the fan immediately kicks in. Now it's charging. Now let's put on the timer and see how long it takes. We are now about 28 minutes in. Battery at 43%, but we are charging at over 1000 watts. So as the battery takes more charge, the charger will ramp up the charging rate and charge it with more power. So right now it's over a kilowatt of power going into the battery, and the battery capacity is about a kilowatt hour. So this will take about an hour. So right now we're at 58 minutes, so it's almost an hour. Battery is now at 83%, and as you can see, the charging rate is now reduced down to 689 watts. So it was over 1000 watts, but when it reaches 80%, it starts to slow down, and this number will continue to go down once you get closer to 100%. So basically you charge this from 0 to 80% in less than 1 hour, and that is very fast compared to similar models on the market. My next test is the quality of the AC output test. This unit is advertised as having a pure sine wave output, which is very important if you have sensitive electronic devices that run on AC. So I have my good old oscilloscope here, and I'm going to test to make sure that it has the pure sine wave output. I've got my suicide cord here plugged in the back of the unit, ready to go. Here we go. First test is when it's not under load. So the AC is on, but there is no load on it. It's a beautiful sine wave. Now let's zoom in to see more clearly the quality of the sine wave. That's beautiful. Next test is to see what it looks like when it's under load. Got my light bulb plugged in. Now let's turn it on. Let's see what we got here. 146 watts. That's beautiful. Let's zoom in, see what we got. That's very nice. Beautiful sine wave. Zoom out. There you go. So next, I'm going to show you how to extend the runtime of this unit to almost indefinitely by using an external battery. On the side of the unit, we have an input for solar panel, and it's limited to 65 volt DC, 10 amp max. That doesn't mean it can take up to 650 watts. They limit the power down to only 400 watts. So instead of using a solar panel to plug in here, you can use a external battery and plug in here, and you can run this unit almost indefinitely under two conditions. Number one, your output has to be less than 400 watts. And that's because the input is maximum at 400 watts. And number two, you have unlimited amount of battery power. So over here I have a Nissan Leaf battery pack. It's composed of 5 cells, and the total voltage is about 42 volts when it's fully charged. Right now it's at 38 volts. Let's plug it in. Spark pretty bad. There we go. Right, for a brief moment it went over 400 watts, but it goes back down. Right now 379 watts. I've got my light bulb plugged into the AC output on the back here, Now let's see if it can charge and output at the same time. There we go. Charging at 376 watts. Output AC at 147 watts. The Nissan Leaf battery pack here is 3 kilowatt hour, so I can run this light bulb for a very long time. So basically, if I have enough batteries, I can run this unit plug in like this almost indefinitely. There's one thing I don't like about this unit is that it has all these connectors on the side of the unit. So when I plug in my solar panel, I need an adapter because this is a male adapter and my solar panel also has a male adapter. So when I put in this adapter here, it sticks out quite a bit and it takes up so much space because I can't put this against a wall. So I have to make an L adapter, which if I plug it in here, it doesn't stick out too much and take up too much space. And finally, I want to talk about something very important about this unit that you should know whether you own this unit or thinking about purchasing this unit in the near future. I brought this with me to camping on one occasion. I have a solar panel on the top of my van and it's a 330 watt solar panel. And I plugged the solar panel to this port and it would charge the unit just fine. And when the battery is almost full on the display, it says 1 minute. That means from the time it displays 1 minute until the battery is full, right? It should be only 1 minute. So I keep the solar panel plugged in and I want to see what happens after 1 minute. But after 1 minute, nothing happened. It still says 1 minute. So I keep waiting. It gets to about half an hour, it still says 1 minute. And then 1 hour later, it still says 1 minute and it's still charging the battery. And it's still charging the battery at full speed. And because it takes a long time to charge, the sun starts to go down. So the solar input starts to go down. But it's still using full power from the solar panel. I was so afraid of it overcharging the battery, so I had to sit there and watch just in case something bad happened. Finally, after a whopping 2 hours from the time it displayed 1 minute on the screen, 2 hours later, it finally stopped charging. The controller inside the unit finally stopped the solar input from charging, but that didn't happen until 2 hours later. The point I'm going to make here is that if you plug in this solar port here and let it charge until it automatically stopped, that's when it's too late. I think that's when the battery is way too full, and that is not good for the battery. It doesn't kill the battery, but it will greatly reduce the lifetime of the battery. You see, lithium ion battery, they do not like to be charged up to 100% all the time. They prefer to be between 80 to 90%, and that's when they would last a long time. So what I learned from this experience is that when I plug in a solar input here, it's best to stop at about 90%. Your battery will thank you and it will serve you for a very long time. But sometimes you forget or you don't just sit there and monitor it all the time. If you see 1 minute, just unplug this right away and stop charging. If you just keep plugging in and don't monitor it and just wait for it to automatically shut down, then it might be too late. It might be too bad for the battery and it won't survive for too long to serve you. This is the only model that I test this. This is the Delta 1300 model, but I have a feeling that other Ecoflow models would do probably exactly the same thing, so you might want to test that if you have other models. And so for this unit, I usually only charge it up to between 85 to 90%, unless I'm on special occasion, which I would charge it up to 100%, rarely, but usually only between 85 to 90%. Overall, this is a good refurbished unit I only pay about 1/3 the price of a new unit, and it has almost no battery degradation. So it is very good, and I'm pretty happy with the purchase. And that's all I have for now, folks. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.